All right, it took emergency crews 3 hours to reach Yvonne Freeman during a recent blizzard, but when they got there, it was too late. And now the family of Ms. Freeman is suing New York City, and our legal guys are back. Civil rights attorney Avery Freeman in Cleveland, criminal defense attorney Richard Herman in Las Vegas. Okay, this happening too in your backyard, Richard. So you have to wonder, because of the blizzard, the city will be able to argue no one got anywhere, so that we weren't able to get to this woman's house. We can't be culpable for her death. She ended up dying of a heart attack. What is the family's argument going to be, Richard? What can it be?
The argument's going to be, yeah, it can be this. Is it reasonable that it takes 45 minutes to get through on a 911 call? Is it reasonable that it takes 3 hours for emergency vehicles to get to someone's house in New York City? And is it foreseeable that if they delay that long in responding to a 911 call and actually coming to a house, is it foreseeable that someone could die? And the answers to all those are the city's going to be liable. They got to get their checkbook out. I've heard commentators say there's no liability, there's immunity. They're wrong. The city's going to get banged out on this one, Fred.
So, Avery, you're disagreeing on this one. Can the city be in control of the weather, and that things such as a calamity like this kind of weather would stand in the way, and it would be responsible still?
Yeah, well, that's exactly the point. I mean, Mayor Bloomberg made a point of saying he was disappointed. Maybe that's evidence. I don't know what weight or the value of it is. But the fact is that, indeed, when you have a major snowstorm, unless the state can show that the circumstances were so unreasonable and so foreseeable that it would have resulted in the death of Yvonne Freeman, who had a heart condition. She was 75 years old. I think, and you know, I wish the family the best, but I don't see any liability coming out of this case. I think the case is going to be dismissed.
It is a sad case, and the family's pursuing $20 million. Now let's talk about Lance Armstrong now. He could be facing an indictment by a grand jury. And one has to wonder, is this mostly because of eyewitness accounts? Is there any other evidence that this grand jury would be considering before there would be any charges imposed? Avery?
There are witnesses all over the place. The problem is there's an irrefutable connection between doping and cycling. Lance has been tested tens of thousands of times. He's always come out clean, but because of the way drugs are administered, because of the form of testing, multitude of issues. Grand jury's been looking at this, by the way, since August. Still no result. It remains to be seen, but again, there is a problem. Lance is smack dab in the middle of it. Whether or not there's an indictment remains to be seen.
So Richard, Sports Illustrated, the magazine, asking how serious is this federal inquiry, and we have to ask the same thing.
Yeah, it's very serious. The use of Hemstat and the use of other drugs by Armstrong. There's a lot of eyewitness testimony against him on this. But Fred, like Martha Stewart, who did not get convicted of securities fraud, she got convicted for lying to the feds. The same principle is going to apply to Armstrong. He lied to officials. I think he's going to get convicted. I think he's going to get at least indicted on it, and he's got a serious problem ahead of him. Nobody wants to treat him like Barry Bonds or McGuire or anybody else. They look at him because of all his everything he does for charities, but I think he's in big trouble.
Yeah, and his personal and athletic accomplishments. All right, so now let's talk about your favorite. I know you can't be, you have been very anxious to tackle this one. We're not talking about the balloon boy, but now the balloon dad now, because Richard Haney, everybody recalls the balloon boy situation. Young boy believed to be, according to the family, in the balloon as it was flying away in Colorado, and then it all turned out to be a ruse. So the dad, he was convicted, you know, 30 days in jail, 60 days probation, etc. Now he says, I need an attorney because I'm suing the Justice Department, the justice system here in Colorado, and the police because I shouldn't have been jailed in the first place. So I'm just wondering, any takers between the two of you? Richard, you first. You're willing to get on board? Respond to his Craigslist ad?
I defer to my esteemed colleague, Avery. He can have this one.
I knew he was going to do that. I knew it.
Fred, you used the magic word, Fred, convicted. That means he stood up in court under oath, made eyeball contact with the judge, and admitted to committing a crime. Now he claims that the police are corrupt and the judicial system's corrupt, and he's looking for a lawyer. Any of these people, like Triple D, Charlie Sheen, dumb drugs and whatever, drinking, and Trainwreck, Lowen, They get to the legal system, and that's how they get publicity. It's ridiculous.
Okay, well, real quick.
I don't know. Maybe some lawyer's going to take it.
Okay, real quick, let's take a look at the ad. It says, you know, I need an attorney to let me know if I have a lawsuit against corrupt cops and judicial system. A friend of mine thinks I do. So that friend put up videos on YouTube that you can look at to make a determination. And so Avery, you know, is he digging a deeper hole for himself by putting this ad up, or, you know, is it just his style and he can get away with this if he happens to get an attorney?
Well, look, this guy will do anything to be visible. He's a five-alarm screwball. There's absolutely nothing there. And the fact is that this is consistent with the way this guy does. He will do anything. He's now selling bear scratch devices and stuff like that out on the internet. There is no basis, Frederica. If a suit is filed, I have to tell you this, the lawyer and he will be fined for bringing a frivolous action. It would be a ridiculous case to bring.
Ouch. Okay,
Absolutely.
Avery Richard, thanks so much, gentlemen. Yeah, I see you do. Agree on some things and then not so much on others. But that's the way we like it. Good to see you guys.
Absolutely.
Have a great weekend.
All right, Fred.
See you next weekend. Appreciate that.
Take care.
Take care.
All the best.